Hello and welcome to the show. Now, we wanted to test out the Forza 7 servers, do some multiplayer racing, nothing particularly taxing just as of yet, but have a go with a variety of different cars and come across some various problems, some various replay issues. However, in midst of all of that, we got some really rather fantastic racing. We start today with some GT cars. Now, these are all from different kind of categories of GT cars. This was using the Forza homologation class, essentially, for the GT vehicles. Kind of puts them all into one area. The GT1 Aston Martins, for example, a couple of us were driving, have got restrictors on the engine, so they aren't so horrendously overpowered. In fact, the Aston Martins are very, very slow in a straight line. Very good through the corners, but you do struggle in a straight line. The cars seemed relatively well balanced. It certainly made for an interesting race, regardless. It's Aston Martin trying to fend off a Corvette as they go side by side through a very fast part of the course. And further back, there was a lot of too wide through that bit. Still, the Corvette is stuck alongside the Aston Martin. Can't quite do it. Up ahead, an Audi and Lamborghini are having a fight for position. Lamborghini was leading the way and managing to pull just a little bit of a gap. The Aston Martin finally cleared that Corvette as we head into a very, very fast section of the track. Lamborghini gets a big sideways moment. Aston Martin would make up another position in all of that. The Corvette would then spot an opportunity as well to draw alongside. Aston now comes into its element through these final couple of corners. It's very quick through the turns, but runs a wheel across the curb, across the grass, and we will see, when you're racing this closely at the start of a race, you make one little mistake, and that's 3 places for the Aston Martin gone. 3 places. Just gone from that tiniest of moments. Further back, we had another Corvette, the newer of the Corvettes, the C7, had a little bit of a poor start, was trying to make his way up through the field. A Jaguar running wide at the hairpin, as was easy to do. Porsche going even wider further back. The Jag had some pretty good straight line speed in it. Corvette pretty good through the corners. I was driving the green Aston Martin that you see up the head of this group. So yeah, I know about the struggles of the Aston Martin's straight line speed compared to the rest of these. The Corvette gets a little bit of a twitch, and if you put a wheel across the curb, it's quite easy to do around here to upset the cars perhaps a little bit. Jag runs very wide though into the next corner, and as I said before, one little mistake, and that's all it takes. The Corvette has an opportunity, is up the inside into the hairpin. Now the Jaguar's not going to give up on this one. You can sometimes get a nice sort of slingshot run on the exit of those corners if you get it right, but the Corvette can get his car far enough alongside and will get the position. As a Porsche is having a go at the inside of an Audi and would just about get that move done. Then the skies started to darken. Yes, I'd had fun playing around with the weather settings. This was still the fight for a first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on, with some impressive lightning storms going on above. The lighting effects, the weather effects, and so on that you can get are seriously impressive. We were spending a lot of time being impressed at the weather, as much almost as we were with the racing of the little bit of contact. That's probably why. Don't stare up at the clouds. When you're racing very fast GT cars, a little bit of contact between the Corvette and the Audi there just gets the Audi sliding out of the corner. That would allow I think it was a different R8 to go through. The Aston Martin is right back here with this group, fighting, looking for a way past. Can't quite make a move stick around the outside of the Corvette there, but is still very much not going to be giving up. The Audi does a little bit of grass cutting, gets away with it. The Corvette then proceeds to run wide, clips the gravel, and that will be a position down the drain. Not quite as bad gravel, I don't think, as we saw on Forza 6 out there if you clip it, but you're still going to lose a lot of time. I was having a good fun race, actually, against the C7 Corvette. Struggling a little bit for pace with the Aston Martin. It just about got the hang of it in these slightly later stages of the race, with the Corvette having made a little mistake coming out the final corner. Got a bit of a wiggle on. Tried to go for a cutback. Couldn't really do too much through turn 1. I kind of got alongside, but couldn't outrun him in a straight line. I could outbrake the Corvette. I hoped I could outturn him. I carried good speed, even with my slightly running wide. I would get the place briefly. And then came the straight line speed of the Corvette flying back past me. And then came the rain as well. The thunderclouds had not failed to deliver on the menacing look. and the track was, yeah, starting to get wet. You can see up ahead, we were struggling a little bit for pace. I felt like I was struggling for pace. We really weren't dropping that far back from the leaders, especially considering how much we were all fighting. The Corvette and other Aston Martin remained close. They both found themselves battling with the Audi at this stage in the race. Aston Martin leading the group. Now became the interesting thing, because we'd had sort of 4 laps of driving the cars around in the dry, and we were learning our cars for a lot of us. This was the first time driving these cars, and we were just about got the hang of the the grip levels, and then suddenly the rain's here. The Aston Martin was out wide in the sand, recovers. The Audi was out wide in the sand as well. Just about all get away with the Corvette having to check up massively to avoid. I think he did still bump the back of the Aston Martin, but yeah, it was a rather steep learning curve. Because these races were kept relatively short, it got wet very quickly. The track went from being dry and fast to heavy rain and us slipping and sliding. It was mostly understeer that was catching us out. The sudden horrendous lack of grip in these cars, as they just didn't turn in whatsoever, not in the way that we expected, and everybody was going wide. Everybody at turn 1, when we hit that for the first time in the rain, when we hit it for the first time in the real heavy rain, everybody was skating around a little bit, but we were still all very close together. There was one car especially, though, that was loving these conditions. The Porsche. It had dropped down the order. It was towards the back of the field before the rain came. As soon as the rain started falling, the 911 came alive. It was phenomenally fast. We had no answer to this Porsche. We'd been quicker than it mostly in the dry. I was still fighting the Corvette, got myself stuck, didn't manage to make that pass work, and the Porsche gets 2 of us in 1 corner, or almost. The Corvette does still get a fairly decent drive on the outside, but he's stuck trying to go the long way round, and nobody has the grip of the Porsche. Nobody can compete with the Porsche. The Bentley up ahead was now starting to struggle as well, as our little group here catches up to the Bentleys, and the Porsche can just carry so much more speed. It's one of the simplest passes I think we've seen going through those final corners. It just outdrives the Bentley in just about every single manner around these turns. The car came from about 11th place all the way up to 5th in kind of a lap, and would go on to chase the cars down further up. Our little group back here were having an incredible battle. The Jag was also working very, very well in the rain, and we still hadn't quite got the hang of the braking for that first corner as we all go skating off the track. Yeah, the Jag was another one that very much came alive as the conditions started to get a bit wet. The Bentleys did seem to be struggling. The Aston Martin wasn't too bad, with it being a fairly grippy car to begin with. When the rain did start falling, then yeah, it wasn't too bad for the Aston as we head down this back straight. Jaguar having a look, trying to find a way past that Corvette down towards the hairpin. There was an Audi, unfortunately, had a big spin off one of the curbs, I think, that dropped himself down the order. To the inside at the hairpin goes the Jaguar, and that would be the place for him as well. At the front of the field, it would be a Lamborghini that would go on to take a victory. A couple of mistakes from sort of 2nd and 3rd place cars a bit further back would give the Lamborghini a relatively large margin of victory. It had been close for a fair amount of time. It had been a really very, very good race. It had been a really very good race around this circuit. Yeah, a little bit lonely in the closing stages. In the horrendous rain is always an easy place to make silly mistakes, but a good run for the Lamborghini. The Porsche continued to absolutely fly in these final couple of laps. He was up to a 4th place. You can see the Jaguar behind catching a Bentley as well. Jag was flying too. This was 2nd and 3rd ahead of the Porsche. He had closed through most of the field in 2 laps as we came up towards the final corners. It's a huge dive up the inside for the 911. Fairly straightforward pass. In the end, the Corvette's just got nothing he can fight it with. And as we round this final turn, the Audi doesn't quite have the grip as they have a drag race down towards the line. It was very, very close between the pair of them. Now, the game would give it to the Porsche. The game would give it to the Porsche. Now, we have seen in previous Forzas, and I would assume in the same story here, that it measures the cars where the front wheels cross the line. And, well, these two are pretty much measured out of dead heat. I don't know how the game decided. I'm think, if I remember rightly, their finish times were identical between the pair of them. They're literally both on the line. The Porsche did get it, and it was a incredible drive from the Porsche to have gone from somewhere around 11th, 12th place to second in 2 laps as the rain fell. It was just absurdly quick around here. Really very, very good race. Another spectacular race that we did involved the Mercedes racing trucks at Suzuka. Now, I said at the start, we've been having there are some massive replay issues with Forza 7, between replays not having sound. There have also been issues with replays not showing vehicles in them. So my version of this replay has 3 trucks working in it. It only displays 3 trucks. This version that I'm using from somebody else in the lobby has the rest of the trucks showing, but not the 3 trucks that were showing on mine, which means in this replay you can't see my truck and a couple of other people's. Also, while most of us didn't have liveries for the trucks, there were a few that did. None of them have loaded. So yeah, a little bit more difficult to commentate when everyone is in exactly the same trucks. It's not quite working at the moment, are the Forza replays. Thankfully, the GT race that was so outstanding, that replay did work for me. It's something we're going to have to... Hopefully we'll get fixed. Hopefully, certainly the missing trucks will get fixed. There are a few other issues we have to work around. When whoever is like the creator of the replay, when their vehicle crosses the finish line, the replay cuts dead there. So if I was at the front and I won the race and I crossed the finish line, that would be it for the replay. So, yeah, there's going to have to be some workarounds for IFMA events and for like our versus communities and so on for that sort of stuff. I can't do anything about the trucks or the vehicles not loading in the replays. I know they are certainly looking at fixing the sound bugs. I don't know. I'm hoping they know of the other bugs, and we will have properly functioning replays. Because, yeah, we were getting, and this is with us relatively inexperienced, both with the game and most definitely with the vehicle combinations and tracks combinations. I've driven the racing truck a couple of times, but I'd never taken a racing truck around Suzuka, and I suspect a lot of people in here were in a similar place, shall we say. And there were more mistakes than perhaps we would see normally, but we were getting really very incredible racing. And let's not forget, these trucks are, while they are very grippy, I say they're very grippy vehicles to drive, they are very, very good to drive. In fact, all of the race vehicles that we tested on this game have been excellent fun to go driving with. As I said before, the physics on Forza 7 are brilliant. These are not the easiest of things to, I say, race closely with one another. There's a lot of truck and not necessarily a huge amount of track, so overtaking manoeuvres have got to be well thought out, shall we say. You can get away with a little bit of bumping, you can get away with a little bit of rubbing because they are large, because they are heavy. You can kind of, be trading paint a little bit through the corners, and they're not suddenly going to ping off into the distance. But still, overtaking and close racing with these can be on the interesting side. Also, visibility. If you're stuck right up behind somebody's vehicle ahead of you, visibility isn't amazing, to say the least. But yeah, it was really not disappointing at all racing these vehicles as we came towards the hairpin with this group. A little bit further back, would try and fit 3 trucks wide on the exit. Big slide across a curb, not a good idea. The poor truck stuck on the outside, not really where you want to be. Runs out of road. I think he got a wheel stuck on the grass, couldn't pull the vehicle off in the end, and just goes trundling across the gravel trap as you do. These two still fighting all the way up towards Spoon. A difficult place to try and get passes done down there. It's a relatively fast corner, relatively narrow, just about one line works through there, and the vehicle following not quite able to make a pass. Stick will then proceed to run a little bit wide. There was a bit of track exploring, I think, is the best way to put it, with the with the trucks. This will become the fight for 3rd place. There was a 5-truck battle for 3rd through the majority of the race. 1st and 2nd checked out. They were a long way down the road. I was involved in this group. I think at this stage my truck is at the back of the field. Back of the pack. Well, that's where it should be. It's kind of not in the replay. But we had a 5-truck battle over 3rd place for 3 or 4 laps, I think it was. And behind us, there were other pockets of trucks that were fighting for positions. And I was expecting the racing trucks, of course, to be interesting vehicles to get some interesting racing. I wasn't quite expecting to get as good as close racing when everyone is so kind of inexperienced in many ways. We're familiar with Forza naturally, but yeah, having not driven Suzuka for a very long time and in vehicles that are quite different to a lot of other stuff that you will have been used to, we got some, yeah, really very, very close racing. As was said and as you've seen, mistakes were made a little bit, and coming up towards the hairpin, all 5 of us outbrake ourselves into this corner. I went skating off as well in the invisible one. You don't get to see my mistakes when my truck's invisible, but yeah, as soon as one of the trucks up ahead braked that little bit later, we all thought we had to try and go as quick as they did, and we all did exactly the same silly thing, and yeah, carted ourselves a little bit wide at the hairpin. We all got ourselves back on the road, and we could continue with our fight. As I said, further back, behind that big battle for 3rd place, there were pockets of trucks fighting for positions, often kind of grouped up in 2s and 3s for whatever position it might be. These guys fighting their way around on towards the back straight. And like I said, with the GT cars, one little mistake when you're in groups like these, and when we're racing identical trucks in this case, will cost you positions. The truck leading this little group just ran a wheel a little too wide over the AstroTurf, and that's it. Cost him one place easily to the truck we're following, cost him another one further back. 3rd continued to be a position of much contention as we head down towards the first corner once more. Plenty of overtaking spots we were finding around Suzuka, which is always nice to try. Difficult through the S's, very difficult through the S's. Turn 1 a good place to make an attempt, although around the outside there is a long way. You can do it sometimes, there's a long way to go in a big old truck you see behind the lead pair in this lot. There was fighting going on. You don't really want to be getting your vehicle across the grass, although yeah, you can make your truck relatively wide through the S's. We have, well, I say we have, we are currently seeing trucks fitting themselves too wide through there. I was involved in a few too wide moments through the S's, but yeah, with the way that they change direction, trying to get a pass cleanly done through all of that is not the easiest, but you could hold side by side near enough the entire way through the S's, and there certainly were some times where trucks were managing that one. It was a scary corner in the trucks, especially a few people trying it too wide. Again, I did go too wide a couple of times through those, and yeah, it's not the most comfortable of experiences. You could get moves done though towards the hairpin. We were going to have another battle, this time no wandering wide, no escaping the track from the lead pair. I think the pair behind, someone got a wheel on the grass in the braking zone. Not necessarily the cleverest, safest of moments, but there we go. As I said, at the front, the 2 leaders did really check out. Helped by us battling each other into attrition further back, also helped by them actually knowing how to use the gears in the trucks. Yeah, running the higher gears is the way to go, get the torque out of the corners. It might seem slightly unusual to us normal, not used to normal racing cars, if you like, but yeah, they got a lot more speed in these trucks than we did. Also, ghost, laggy, replay, glitchy weirdness. It's, yeah, fun with Forza 7 replays, basically, at the moment. So, yeah, we had a lot of fun, actually. We had a lot of fun racing. The GT cars were incredible, a lot better than I expected, and not too badly balanced either with that homologation class. The trucks an awful lot better, awful lot closer than I perhaps initially expected. We're used to having city vehicles work very well, but yeah, that was an excellent fun race. It's a shame that we got quite a lot of problems with Forza 7 replays at the moment. Hopefully they will be fixed. That's a fair big hopefully though, because yeah, that's going to make a little bit of a mess of some of the stuff that we normally do. You have to think of ways of working around it. I can do that with the replays cutting off and so on when they're just not loading in cars. That might be a little bit of a bigger issue, but I'm going to have to see what I can do. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.